So good evening, everyone. Welcome to this lecture session of the course Computational Fluid Dynamics. In the previous lecture, we have completed our discussion on all the characteristics which are desired from any discretization scheme. And we also found that our linear interpolation based central difference approximation of the convective and diffusion terms does not account for the transportive property. Okay, so transportiveness is something which specifies the dominance of direction in our numerical solution while we are actually considering the convection diffusion problems. Okay, so basically this our CDS scheme may give accurate results when our Peclet number is small. It means we are having the comparable behavior of convective and diffusive part. Okay, and if we are having dominance of diffusion, dominance of convection term, in that case my this central difference scheme will be actually resulting in oscillations in our solution, and our numerical solution will not be accurate. Okay, so the two reasons which we have seen, based on the boundness, we have derived one criteria considering local Peclet number, and we found that when local Peclet number is greater than 2, then CDS results in oscillations. And second thing we found, that why CDS is resulting in oscillations, because it is not taking care of the directional dependence in propagation of information while we are having presence of convection. Okay, so to avoid these problems, these oscillations in our numerical solution, we have come up with some scheme which is referred to as upwind or donor cell differencing scheme. Okay, so the name which we have given to this scheme is either upwind or donor cell differencing scheme. Okay, so the overall idea of this scheme is based on some criteria. So let me consider, or let me show you over here the solution of exact solution of one-dimensional equation. So if you see the exact solution of one-dimensional equation, what we are having, so say this is my linear variation when Peclet number is equal to 0. When Peclet number is less than 2, then solution will be close to the this one linear variation if I plot phi versus x. But when my Peclet number is large, in that case what will be happening, my solution will be something like this. Okay, so this is for the situation when our Peclet number is actually very large in comparison to 1. Okay, and also while I explained the transportive property, there also I told you that say some information is originating from node number W, and he say this is my node number P and some node number E, and I have now the flow which is taking place from left to right. Okay, so what will be happening, whatever the information will be originating because of the convective effect, instead of propagating in the form of concentric circles, it will be now propagating in some elliptic fashion. Okay, so from here also this E point also information will be now propagating something like this. So you can see over here that if I have to estimate the value at say this W phase of control volume, or in other words, if I want to say see the effect of the property which is originating from this W source, so value at P is completely affected by the origination of the property at point W, whereas parameter at point P is not affected by the origination of property from point number E. Okay, so that is one clear-cut idea that while we are having presence of convection, then basically it is the dependence of direction which is governing the value of property in the downstream. So obviously at any point if I have to calculate the variation of any field parameter, I have to give more weightage to the upstream nodes in order to obtain the values. Okay, and similarly you can see over here in the exact solution also, in the exact solution when our Peclet number is large, it means when our convection is dominant, up to the large value of x, we can find that value of phi is almost equal to phi naught only. Okay, so this is say my phi L and this is phi naught. Okay, so up to the large distance along the length of the domain. Okay, so we are having actually value close to phi only. So basically when we estimate the fluxes at faces of our finite sized control volume. So while I'll be estimating the flux at say phase W, it is a good approximation to consider that we are having only constant value of phi, which is close to the previous node. Okay, so that is something, this particular scheme, which takes care of the directional dependence in our numerical solution, and we will be applying this particular scheme over here. Okay, so in general, if I write down the 1D convection diffusion equation, it is nothing but d by dx of rho u times phi, and it is equal to d by dx of gamma times d phi by dx. Okay, now what I will be doing, I will be integrating this, and finally I will be finding that one more thing I will do two substitutions. I will write f equal to rho into u, and I will write this gamma divided by delta x as equal to d. Okay, so these substitutions also I will do. Okay, so now once I integrate and convert my volume integral into the surface integrals, I will be finding finally that Fe into phi e minus Fw into phi w will be equal to gamma times E into d phi by dx at point E minus gamma times W into d phi by dx at point W. So anyone is having confusion in getting this equation? Or is this point clear? This is many times we have done this now. Please say yes or no. So this equation is clear. Okay. So now what we will be doing, while we have considered the central difference approximation for obtaining the property at this east node, east face of our control volume, what we did, we considered the equal weightage for both the nodes which are on either side of this either side of this face. Okay, so let me now draw first my grid points. So say this is my grid number, grid point P, node point P. This is my node point capital W. This is my node point capital E. So here I will be having small w as one face and small e as another face, and flow is taking place in this direction. Okay. So now Fe I am writing over here as it is, and one more assumption I have taken while I have written this equation. From here I would have got actually area integral also. So I am considering that, say, area of east face is equal to area of west face, and that is equal to, say, A. So if I'll be considering all the areas equal, then my area terms will be actually cancelling out from each of the term. Okay. Now Fe I am writing. So while I'll be calculating phi e by considering the upwind differencing scheme, which actually gives which takes care of the directional dependence in the transfer or propagation of the property. So what we will be doing, while I am calculating the value of phi at east face, I will be giving the weightage to the upstream node. So can you tell me, to this face E, which one is upstream node if flow is happening from left to right? Which one is upstream node?
W.
P.
P. So immediate upstream node to this E face is nothing but P. Okay, so let me consider that this is my value phi P. So what I will be considering when I will be estimating the value at this face E, I will be considering that phi E is nothing but equal to phi P. Okay, and similarly for face W, which one is my upstream node?
W.
W. So over here, say if this is my value of property phi W, so I will be saying that phi at small w is nothing but equal to phi capital W. Okay. So now let me do these substitutions over here. So with Fe, I can now write phi P, and minus with Fw, now I can write phi W. And in the right hand side, I am having gamma times E into d phi by dx at E. So while we will be calculating d phi by dx, because diffusion term is something which propagates the information uniformly in all the directions. So that's why for diffusion, we will try to follow over here central difference approximation only. Okay. So while we will be following the central difference approximation for diffusion, we will be getting gamma E times phi E minus phi P divided by delta X. Okay. And minus of gamma times W into phi times P minus phi W divided by delta X. Okay. Is this point clear? Now this gamma by delta X, I can write simply as D. So my equation will be becoming Fe into phi P minus Fw into phi W will be equal to dE times this gamma E by delta X will become dE. So dE times phi E minus phi P and minus of dW times phi P minus phi W. Okay. Now what we will be doing, we will be segregating the different terms, different coefficients. Okay. So all the terms which are common with phi P, we will keep on left hand side, and other nodes we will take to the right hand side. So what I will be getting, I'll be getting Fe with phi P, and from the right hand side I will be getting plus dE, then another I'll be getting minus dW into
plus dW.
Plus dW and plus dE. Yes. And in the right hand side, I will be finding dE into phi E and plus Fw into phi W minus will become plus dW into phi W. Have I written it correctly, or I made any mistake?
Yes, sir, correct.
Okay. So from here, now I can write in the right hand side, further I can segregate different terms. So I can write this as dE times phi E plus Fw plus dW into phi W. Okay. So this is my different terms. Now if I write over here, this as equal to AP into phi P equal to AE into phi E plus AW into phi W. What I will be getting? Different coefficients. What will be my AE now? AE will be equal to nothing but, what is the value for AE?
DE.
DE. What is the value for AW?
FW plus DW.
DW plus FW. And what is the value of AP? AP is DE plus
FE plus DW.
FE plus DW. Okay. So this is how actually we can now take some scheme, and this particular scheme is actually our considering the transportiveness behavior. Okay. Now let me give you one example. Okay. Can you tell me what will happen if the flow is reversing? Say I have the same points P, E and W over here, and this is my, say, small w, this is my small E, but now flow is happening from right to left. Now can you tell me what will be the value of flux at point E and at point W? What will be the values of fluxes, convective fluxes?
At the east side, it will be phi E. At the right, at the left side, it will be phi W, phi P.
Phi P, yes. So depending upon the direction, actually, we have to take care of the scheme. Now, so we have got the general equation. Now, obviously, this general equation you can write by considering P as I and W as I minus 1 and E as I plus 1. So you can write in the generalized form and you can apply for your domain. Now, when we talk about any scheme, after that what we do, we compare that scheme for 4 different criteria. So one of the first criteria is conservativeness. So is this scheme conservative?
Yes, sir.
So this is conservative. What about boundness? So if you see over here, F is product of rho into U, and D is nothing but equal to gamma divided by delta X. Delta X will be finite sized. Gamma rho U will be always positive. So all my coefficients are over here are nothing but positive. So if all coefficients are positive, what about boundness? It will be unconditionally bounded. Okay. What about transportiveness? It will be transportive because it is taking care of the directional dependence. Okay. Now, fourth point is about
For boundedness, why didn't we check the ratio condition?
Yeah. So ratio, we are considering that this ratio, if we are considering that ratio will be satisfied. Okay. So ratio is something which will be satisfied over here. If you see your AP term is dominant. Okay.
Sir, that will be depend on the relative values of FE and FW.
FE and FW will be same from your conservation of continuity equation.
Okay, sir. But then still we will have to have a one point at which the ratio should be less than 1.
Sorry?
Hello.
Yes. Yeah. Abhishek, say again.
Sir, there was another condition, right? Like this one ratio should be less than or equal to 1, and at least at one point it should be less than 1.
Yeah. So while say you will be dealing with the boundary nodes, your delta X, etc. will be changing. So for some of the boundary nodes, that condition will satisfy. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. And what about in terms of order of accuracy? What will be the order of accuracy of this scheme?
2.
No. So when we were having central difference approximation, then actually we were considering the weightage from 2 points in order to obtain the value at the face. So that scheme on a uniform grid, it was actually second order accurate. Okay. But over here, when we are calculating the value at the face, we are only considering the variation from one side. Okay. So if you compare with reference to the Taylor series approximation, and if you neglect the higher order terms, you will be finding over here the order of accuracy of this scheme will be nothing but 1. Okay. So it means in terms of order of accuracy, it is less accurate than CDS. Is this point clear?
Yes, sir.
So order of accuracy of this particular scheme will be less in comparison to our central difference based discretization, whatever we have seen earlier. Okay. So now what I will do, I will give you an example that what kind of issues we will be facing when we are using the upwind differencing scheme. Okay. So if I use upwind differencing scheme, you can see over here, I have earlier also told you, say if I have some property having phi naught equal to 1 and say phi L equal to 0. Okay, so this is the variation along X, this is variation of phi, and say for some value of velocity, its exact solution is something like this. Okay, so this is the exact analytical solution. While I will be using the while I'll be using over here the upwind differencing scheme, in case of upwind differencing scheme, what will be happening? I will be finding over here that my numerical solution will be something like this. So it means my solution is now oscillation free. I am not having any oscillations over here, but it is resulting in some false diffusion. So we are having significant variation between these 2 points. So this is something which is called as false diffusion or diffusion error or numerical diffusion. Okay. So if you try to see over here, this is resulting in diffusion. So why this diffusion is coming and one more thing you will be finding, that this diffusion will be more prominent in the right portion. So whenever you will be approaching close to the right side boundary, then your magnitude of diffusion will be increasing. So why this diffusion is occurring in case of upwind differencing scheme? Can you explain? After looking into the discretization scheme which we have followed, can you explain me why we are getting false diffusion over here? So if I give you some idea over here, so you can see that exact solution shows that
That will depend on the local Peclet number.
Yes, that will depend upon the local Peclet number, but let me show you. So if you see over here, you will be finding that your scheme shows, or your exact solution shows, that for majority of your domain, value of phi is almost constant. If for majority of your domain, value of phi is constant, it means what will be the value of d phi by dx in this portion? It will be approaching to 0. Whereas if you see this particular portion, this is the portion which is close to the right side, where only you will be finding that you are having some significant value for d phi by dx. Okay, so here d phi by dx is actually becoming, say, some significant value. It is not exactly equal to 0. Okay, so the idea is, while we have used the upwind differencing scheme, we have considered for convective term that parameter is constant, but while approximating d phi by dx, every time we have considered some diffusion weightage into our discretization scheme. Okay, so as we are considering the diffusion, but physically, if we see in majority of the portion of the domain, our diffusion is actually becoming almost equal to 0 if we compare with the exact one-dimensional solution. Okay, so this is something that in some portion of the domain, we are considering the finite value for the diffusion term, d phi by dx term, whereas in practice, if we see it based on the exact understanding of the solution, we are not having diffusion in this domain. Okay, so that's why this particular scheme results in false diffusion in our solution. Okay, and obviously this false diffusion can be avoided if we are decreasing the delta x. So when we are decreasing the delta x, that will be actually decreasing our local Peclet number, and if local Peclet number is decreasing, our convection and diffusion will be becoming comparable, and in that case you will be finding that solution will be more closely approaching to the exact solution. But once again, there is no limit for decreasing the value of delta x. You have, if you are further decreasing the value of delta x, your solution will try to get more accurate, closer to the exact solution. Okay, is this point clear? Okay, so now let me also explain that though our upwind differencing scheme is actually taking care of the transportive property, but still this scheme has not become very popular in finding out in the development of computational fluid dynamics. Okay, so it has been initially started, but and in the initial days it has been used for convection diffusion problems, but mainly it has been used with the low Reynolds number conditions. Okay, so whenever there were the conditions with high Reynolds number and complex geometries, then this particular scheme has resulted in significant numerical diffusion, and sometimes it has resulted in the numerical values which are actually not physically matching to the domain, physically matching to the situation which we have considered. Okay, so because of this scheme has not become very popular. Okay, so one of the major disadvantage of this scheme was that it was giving accurate results only if our flow direction is actually aligning to the mesh structure. Okay, so if we are having some flow where our flow direction is not aligning to the mesh structure, in that case actually this scheme has resulted in significant errors. Okay, so let me take up one case over here. So let me take that I have some uniform sized grids, and this is my some two-dimensional domain. Okay, and in this two-dimensional domain, say I have some uniform sized grids. Okay, so in these uniform sized grids, let me consider over here that for this particular face, I have value of phi equal to 100. For the top face also, I have phi equal to 100. And for this right hand side, I have value of phi equal to 0. And for the bottom side also, phi is equal to 0. And now let me consider that this is my main diagonal of this domain. And along this diagonal, say we are having some flow which is happening parallel to the diagonal. So flow direction is parallel to diagonal. So if flow direction is parallel to diagonal, it means we have to consider same velocity in both x and y direction. So say my u is say something, say 5 meters per second. So I have to consider y component of velocity also as 5 meters per second. In that case only, what will be happening? I will be finding overall velocity direction as tangential, which will become parallel to the diagonal. Okay. So now over here you can see we are having structured Cartesian grid, and your grid faces are actually either parallel to y-axis or parallel to x-axis. Okay, but your flow direction, so when the flow is entering, it is not parallel to faces of your grids. Okay, now let us consider over here that we are having actually dominance of the convection. So this flow is particularly convection dominant. Okay, so if it is convection dominant, can you tell me what will be the distribution of phi within the internal domain? Just after looking into this situation, can any one of you talk about the distribution of phi in the internal nodes if we consider diffusion to be negligible?
It will go up. The profile will go up.
So basically, if you see, this particular left boundary is having phi equal to 100, and from here solution is actually parallelly moving into the diagonal. Okay, so what I will be finding that above the diagonal I will be having values of phi everywhere as 100. Okay, and below the diagonal I will be having value of phi as equal to 0, because below the diagonal values will be propagating from this boundary, and above it is being propagated from this boundary. Okay, so is this point clear?
Yes, sir.
Now let me consider that I have taken some direction. So another diagonal I have taken. Okay, and say this diagonal is A dash. Okay, and I want to plot variation of phi along this direction A dash. Okay, so if I plot variation of phi along direction A dash, as per the exact solution, can you tell me what will be the variation? If we consider diffusion to be negligible, from the exact solution, what will be my variation of? I'll be finding phi to be equal to 100. So say I am starting from this point. So when I am starting from this point, I will be finding the value of phi to be 100 till the diagonal, and from this diagonal, once we have crossed this diagonal, then we will be finding value of phi to be 0. Okay. So till this point, it is 100, and immediately here I will be having sudden jump, and after this jump, I will be having value of phi equal to 0. So this is nothing but my exact solution of this particular flow situation. Okay. And if I consider the numerical solution by considering say 10 by 10 number of cells, in that case, what will be happening? I will be finding that my numerical solution will give significant amount of diffusion. Okay, so you can see we are having significant amount of diffusion when we have considered upwind differencing scheme by having 10 by 10 number of cells, and while we have derived the numerical solution, we have considered that d phi by dx is equal to 0. So even if we are considering the pure convection problem, then also for the pure convection problem also, if my flow is not aligned to the faces of the cell, in that case actually we are finding the presence of significant numerical diffusion in our solution. Okay, and once you keep on refining the mesh, say if you go to some higher number of grid points, say 50 by 50, so you will be finding some improvement in the solution. Say then if you go to some further higher size, 100 by 100, then you will be finding more closeness to the exact solution, but we will be having some numerical diffusion always associated with the upwind differencing scheme. Okay, so that's why this scheme has not become very popular, and later on people have come up with some other schemes which are even nowadays implemented in many of the commercial and the open source softwares also. Okay, so now is this point clear, whatever I have told you?
Yes.
Okay, so now after this there has been many developments in devising the discretization schemes which actually can give results close to the exact solution. Okay, so some of these schemes are referred to as exponential scheme. Another scheme is hybrid differencing scheme, and third scheme is power law based scheme. Okay, so power law based discretization. So if you see over here, the main origination is basically, this is the original scheme, exponential scheme, which has been derived from mathematical formulation which is proposed by Spalding in 1972. Okay, so Spalding has proposed some mathematical formulation in 1972, and considering that exponential mathematical formulation, actually the scheme which is derived, that is something which we call as exponential scheme. Okay, now this exponential scheme is actually very, very accurate scheme, but it is having some another issues associated with it, so because of which this has also not become popular. So this particular scheme under certain conditions has resulted in two more number of schemes which are called as hybrid and power law schemes. Okay, so considering these hybrid and power law schemes, considering their accuracy and the ease of computation, these has become very, very popular and are being used nowadays. So if some of you are say some of the MTech students already are doing their research practicum in CFD, and some of you have started using the Fluent, ANSYS Fluent, and some of you are using say other open source solver, OpenFOAM. So there, while you are doing your numerical solution, you might have seen the power law based discretization, upwind discretization scheme. So these are some of the schemes which are actually very, very popular in solving the convection diffusion problems. Okay, so now let me start with the origination of exponential scheme. So what was happened, if you see, for one-dimensional convection diffusion equation, one-dimensional convection diffusion equation. So this is my equation, d by dx of rho u phi, that is equal to d by dx of say mu times d phi by dx. Okay, so we have seen already that finding out the exact solution of this particular equation is actually very, very easy, and exact solution we have seen as nothing but phi minus phi naught divided by phi L minus phi naught equal to exponential of Peclet number into x by L minus 1 divided by exponential of Peclet number minus 1. Okay, so this is something which we have seen in our earlier lecture. So it means that for one-dimensional convection diffusion problems, if we try to identify the exact solution, or if we try to see the variation of phi, it is nothing but it varies in an exponential fashion. Okay. So this particular exponential scheme over here is something which employs this analytical formulation to finding out the solution. Okay. So what we are doing in exponential scheme, we will be using this exact solution to derive our numerical discretization scheme. Okay. So let me draw over here some grid structure. Say this is my P node, this is my W node, this is my node E, and I have some faces over here, small w and small e. Okay. Now if I have to find out the total amount of flux QW through this particular phase, and say total amount of flux through this particular phase as QE. So what I am saying now, I am trying to find out the net flux of scalar phi through this phase W and through the phase E. So what I mean by net flux? I mean by net flux, if you see over here, convective flux we have already seen. Convective flux is nothing but equal to rho times U, and we have seen diffusion conductance as D as nothing but equal to mu divided by delta x. Okay. So if we now compare the net effect of convective flux and the diffusion conductance. So over here, this when we are having this convective flux, say if it is carrying some phi with it, and this diffusion conductance is also carrying some phi with it. So what is the net result of that overall flux? Okay. So if we try to find out that overall flux, that is something which we want to do over here. Okay. So if I now start with the initial equation, it is nothing but d by dx of rho u phi rho u phi equal to d by dx of mu times d phi by dx. So this particular equation I can write as nothing but equal to d by dx times rho u phi minus mu times of d phi divided by dx equal to 0. Okay. So what is this over here? Can you tell me? What is this? This is the Q. So this is net flux of phi. How net evolution of phi is actually happening because of the net effect of convection and diffusion. So from here, I can simply say that my dq divided by dx is equal to 0. So if dq by dx is equal to 0, if I integrate this over this control volume P, from here I can simply say that my QE minus QW will be equal to 0. Is this point clear? So from here I'll be finding that QE minus QW will be equal to 0. Now what I will do, I want to apply this exponential variation, which is phi minus phi naught times divided by phi L minus phi naught equal to exponential of Peclet number into x by L. So earlier it was x by L when we were considering the global Peclet number, but if I have to write this in the form of discretized form of equations, then instead of this Peclet number, what I have to do, I have to consider local Peclet number. What is the definition of local Peclet number? Local Peclet number is nothing but rho u into delta x, where delta x is cell size divided by mu. Okay, so I will be writing over here this Peclet number into say x divided by, instead of L, now I will be having delta x, where delta x refers to the grid size. Okay, so x divided by delta x minus 1 divided by exponential of Peclet number minus 1. Okay, is this point clear? So what I have done, instead of having now the entire length into my estimation of Peclet number, I am considering only the cell size into the estimation of Peclet number. Okay. So now based on this approximation, can I estimate value of phi? Can I estimate value of phi by considering rho u to be f and if I take this rho u by mu ratio in the form of Peclet number, and if I consider for estimation of phi variation as exponential, can I find out the value of fluxes phi e and phi w? So if you see over here, what I have to find out? I have to find out QE minus QW equal to 0. So what is my QE? Can you tell me what is QE? QE will be equal to, if I write this rho u as F, so it will be equal to Fe into phi e minus mu e into d phi divided by dx at phase E. Okay. And if you calculate Q at phase W, that will be nothing but equal to Fw into phi w minus mu w into d phi by dx at W. Okay. Now what you have to do while you are considering, while you are finding the value of phi at phase east and phase west, for that, in between the node number P and E, while you are calculating at east phase, you have to consider the exponential variation between the node point P and E. And similarly, while you are finding at W phase, you have to consider the variation between P and W as nothing but exponential. Okay. So if you consider exponential variation, what you will be finding? Say if I calculate for phase E. So for phase E, my phi E minus phi naught divided by, so what will be phi naught over here? Can you tell me for phase E, what will be phi naught?
Phi p.
Phi p will be my phi naught, and over here I will be having phi L as nothing but my phi E minus phi, what will be the next term?
Phi p, sir.
That will be equal to exponential of, that will be equal to exponential of Peclet number at which phase? Now I have to calculate Peclet number at east phase into x. What will be the value of x for east phase? So if I am considering x to be, so what I am considering phi naught at which point? P point. Okay, so it means I am calculating x equal to 0 with reference to point P. So if my x is 0 for point P, what will be the value of x for east phase?
Delta x by 2.
It will be delta x by 2. Okay, so here I can simply write over here delta x by 2 divided by delta x minus 1 divided by exponential of Peclet number at east phase minus 1. Okay, so this is how I can calculate the value of phi in my which term? Value of phi when I am estimating it at east phase. Similarly, I am having expression for phi. So from here, can you find out d phi by dx? So for finding out d phi by dx, what you have to do? You have to take the differentiation of this particular equation, and this d phi by dx, once again, you have to calculate it for phase E. Is this point clear? Similarly, while you will be doing the calculations for W phase, what will be my equation? Can you tell me now? It will be phi at W minus phi W divided by phi P minus phi W equal to exponential of Peclet number. Now can you tell me what will be the value of x for W phase?
Delta x by 2.
It will be same, delta x by 2 divided by delta x minus 1 divided by exponential of Peclet number minus 1. So this is how I will be obtaining the value for phi W, and for obtaining the value for d phi by dx at W, what I have to do? Once again, I have to take the differentiation of this particular first equation by considering phi naught as W and phi L as my P and this phi naught as W. So I have to once again take the differentiation, and in that differentiation, then once again I have to substitute value for X as delta X by 2, and I can calculate the value of d phi by dx for W phase. So what I will be doing now, this is nothing but a simple mathematical manipulation. So all of you try this mathematical manipulation by your own, and in the next class I will directly give you the final expressions for phi E and phi W. Okay, is this point clear?
Sir, that -1, it should be outside exponential or inside in the both denominator and numerator, sir?
It is outside exponential.
Sir, actually you have written in the inside.
I have written inside, just let me see. No, I have, okay, for the numerator term I have written it. Yeah, for denominator I have put it correctly. Okay. And
Sir, last
below
part also at E phase also, yes, sir.
Yes, this I have done it wrongly. Yeah. So in the next slide also it has to be like this. Okay. So now all of you can try these equations. Tomorrow, finally, I will be giving, so in the next lecture, I will be giving you the expressions for phi E and phi W. Okay. And now I will stop at this point and we'll have further discussion in our next lecture.